What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we have the final TWID of 2025, I believe. So that does mean Bungie give us a bit of a heads up on what we should expect over the holiday season in terms of updates to the game and general updates from the studio. Additionally, they round up some of the event content coming up shortly. That includes the return of Trials, which has some interesting loot. They give other updates regarding live game components as well. And we have a handful of other things to round up in the video. So if you enjoy this one, do us a massive favor and drop a like rating down below. But otherwise, let's get into it. A couple of updates here initially. Bungie posted a bunch of Renegades concept art and development images to ArtStation, as they shared here. So I'll link that down below if you want to check it out. Some cool concepts like here for Tharsis Outpost. And even early versions of the Praxic Blade that Bungie were targeting. I guess in terms of hilt designs, ultimately, they went for something that aligned much more closely with Star Wars itself. But it's cool to see them nonetheless. And again, if you want to check any of them out, check the links below at the end of the video. Otherwise, just to clarify, Bungie had said, we've resolved an issue in the Equilibrium dungeon where not all feats were properly increasing reward quality or counting for triumphs. So, in particular, for those who are hunting tier 5s, they begin to more consistently drop after you apply 3 feats, but there still seems to be some RNG in it. You might get tier 4, you might get tier 5. I would assume 4 feats and more get considerably more consistent, but of course, the difficulty scales up as well. But if you want to start getting more regular tier 5 drops, adding 3 feats to the dungeon is certainly the starting point. Next up though, we get onto the TWID, and Bungie reflect a little bit. They say, the last 2 weeks of Renegades have been a blast, seeing stories from which Praxic Blade Color Guardian started with, or which blaster has been their favourite to master in the Lawless Frontier has been a thrill for us. And with the Equilibrium dungeon conquered by Team Tommy, we come to the end of our launch phase. With the start of the Dawning this week, we're looking forward to taking our collective foot off the gas just a little bit during this holiday period. Still, we have much work ahead of us, and the blog will be entering a form of stasis for a few weeks, but many of us will be working through the winter break to solidify our 2026 plans and beyond. So a bit of reflection there, and of course, last thing Bungie said a little while back was that they were planning on delivering a state of the game and multi-year roadmap for the future of Destiny 2 in 2026, which obviously is going to be one of the big updates that we'll get next year, although we probably shouldn't anticipate getting that very early on after Bungie return from the winter break, probably going to be later in the winter or maybe even the spring. Otherwise in the TWID, they congratulate the Dungeon Race winners. So that was Team Tommy, of course, Mario Monkey, Luigi Style, and Biggs. And while it was a pretty quick dungeon race, I think only like a couple of hours, something like that, they were still nearly an hour ahead of the second clear of the dungeon, which is pretty good achievement, to be fair. For those who are engaging with the Dawning and maybe fancy some Dawning fashion, Bungie do share here, there's a chance to win an emblem, so if you take inspiration from the Dawning to dress up your Guardian and then share your fashion on social media using the hashtag DawningFashion2025, along with your Bungie ID in the post, you have the chance to win this emblem, and they'll be selecting the winners on the January 8th TWID, so that'll be the next TWID after this one in a couple of weeks' time. On top of that, there's even an emblem for baking cookies, so if you bake some cookies or a dessert inspired by the Dawning, you can get the emblem on screen, and that's with the hashtag DawningCreation2025 and by sharing your Bungie IDs, so links for that are in the TWID. They also share there's a new Twitch drop for watching your favourite streamer for 30 minutes playing Destiny 2, and that's the emblem you can see on screen. Otherwise, they speak about the Oath of the Renegades, which is this kind of content creator, community event competition thing, where a bunch of creators have set up teams, and you can represent those teams and score by playing Lawless Frontier and aligning with a specific faction on Tharsis Outpost. Again, details about that bit are in the TWID, but they say the winning creator syndicate will unlock an emblem for the entire D2 community to adorn in 2026, with the winning syndicate's icon replacing the Vanguard icon in the example below. So it won't have the Vanguard logo, it'll have one of the 3 syndicate logos. And whoever wins will unlock it for all of us next year. So there's a quick preview of that right there. Otherwise, this is a fairly light TWID. Just keep in mind, Trials will return this weekend for the first time in the season, so tomorrow at the Daily Reset, it comes back with the new armor, some new weapons, cosmetics, and other things. Strangely, they don't actually mention that in the TWID, but there are a few nice rewards, you can see some of them on screen. I'm looking forward to the new hand cannon, but also there's Ghost Shell, Sparrow, Ship, and other bits that we can get on the cosmetic side. So there's a brief preview, and I'll give you more previews tomorrow, if you like, in a video on the channel. Known issues here, which are worth mentioning. This is quite a light TWID, as I said. For the Dawning, players who have previous event quests stuck in their inventory are experiencing a visual issue where those quests are overriding the Dawning quest. I know this happened with the Iron Banner quest, so if that affects you, Bungie know about it, but whether it will be fixed before the end of Dawning, we'll just have to see. They also point out, in the Lawless Frontier, the Exotic Contract Totality Division does not gain progress when completing invasions, so bit of a lockout on that. And there's an issue as well where Titans who enter the Brig with the Thruster class ability and is sword equipped are unable to exit the vehicle, which is pretty bonkers. Otherwise, in Equilibrium, shadow pools acquired quickly after teleporting can grant much less shadow than intended. And also, Harrow, Dredge and Apprentice can stop chasing the players in rare instances, blocking progress in the encounter. And there have been some funky things going on with feats in that dungeon as well. This probably doesn't apply to many of you, but in the TWID they also mention they've updated the new light guide, so there's a new player guide, and basically they're saying they're adding new chapters to it. So if you feel that you need that, that's in the TWID as well. Like I said, most of you probably don't need it. Otherwise, Bungie offer a Bungie Foundation end-of-year update, and of course they do some really good stuff in terms of charity initiatives. If you want to contribute to that a little bit, there will be one final Bungie Bounty for Good, which will be on Sunday, December 21st from 9 AM until 2 PM Pacific. And this will be a Crucible Bungie Bounty, as we can see. So if you want a chance to win the emblem, if you can find them and beat them, you'll get that emblem. Additionally, in the TWID though, there's a section introducing the community team. So Bungie say there are a few new members, including Evan Scapes Berman, Frog on a Float, Destiny Senior Community Manager. There's some brilliant names here. There's also Bruno BR1 and Mitch Alpiner, who are social media managers. You may have seen them on things like Twitter. Otherwise, they confirm DMG and Cosmo are still key figures in the community team for Destiny, although Cosmo simply says, "Get out of my office," and DMG says, "Bread." So there's still a community team there, if you were wondering. Of course, DMG is really the most front-facing person that most of us will know about, and many of us appreciate that community team, of course. Lastly though, Bungie say farewell 2025, greetings 2026, with a final reminder that they're entering a quiet time for Bungie, but that the operations center will stay working, and they'll have comms if issues arise around the Dawning. But again, no TWID until January 8th. And so I wanted to round that up anyway, even though, like I said, it's a fairly light TWID in terms of content conversation, but as Bungie said themselves, we're kind of coming out of the launch period for Renegades. Nonetheless, 2026, as we know, will be a significant year for Bungie on a number of fronts. And those of us who are still around are probably rooting for them because we want to play a game that we love. So I'm curious to see what we get in terms of the roadmap updates, Bungie's future plans. And of course, before we get to that, there'll be live events and things rolling out from January. So there we go. I'm sure I'll catch you before the end of the year. We'll still have plenty of content all the way through the holiday period, so keep it locked and loaded right here. But if I don't catch you for any reason, have a wonderful holiday season, whatever you get up to. If you've enjoyed the video today, a rating very much helps us out. But otherwise, thank you for tuning in, and I hope you have an awesome day.